Fire. Fire. Fire.
Movie audiences usually believe that whatever drama or action they're seeing on screen was created or captured for nothing but that story. Most of the time, they're right. But sometimes a director or studio realizes that it's better for the vision, schedule, or budget to give existing footage a second life. Here are Screen Rant's movies that stole footage from other films. Transformers: Dark of the Moon. The plots of Transformers and The Island couldn't be farther apart. One is a story about alien robots at war, and the other is a vision of the future where clones of the wealthy are grown to be harvested for their organs. But director Michael Bay made sure the two movies could be forever linked when he reused footage from The Island's chase sequence in the third Transformers, with a deadly robot added on top. Exactly how anyone spotted these scenes is beyond us, but once they placed the shots side by side, Michael Bay's critics saw it as a smoking gun that all the director's films were cookie-cutter explosion fests. If you ask us, it seems like a pretty clever way to save on stunts. Star Trek Generations. Modifying footage for a different film is one thing, but reusing the exact same explosion in two films in the same series is something else. No Trek fan will forget the moment when Captains Kirk and Sulu joined forces to take down a Klingon bird of prey next to the undiscovered country, which may have been the problem. In Star Trek Generations, just 3 years later, the exact same explosion was used to end its own climactic battle. Apparently, the crew decided that building a brand new model just to blow it up wasn't worth the time or the money. Blade Runner. Ridley Scott had every intention of keeping Blade Runner's ending unclear, and keeping fans guessing if the movie's hero was human or not. The studio, on the other hand, wanted a happy ending, where the hero and his new love escaped the overcrowded streets of future LA into sprawling countryside. The director never agreed to shoot the new scenes, and the shots of Harrison Ford and Sean Young were easy enough. But the weather didn't cooperate with the idea of a sunny send-off. That's when Scott remembered Stanley Kubrick's The Shining opened with the exact footage he was hoping for, so he took his pick of the hours of helicopter footage and called it a day. That makes Blade Runner a Shining prequel as far as we're concerned. Star Wars Episode II: Attack of the Clones. George Lucas's prequel trilogy finally let fans see how the fate of the Jedi Order and the galaxy at large was decided by bringing the movie's heroes into the inner sanctum of the Jedi's High Council. Each one of the alien Jedi Masters is memorable in their own way, but when production shifted from England to Australia between Episodes 1 and 2, these bit players were suddenly a world away. Instead of filming the council for another film, Lucas decided to use the exact same footage, using computers to cut and paste their reactions into different shots or positions. No wonder they didn't do much talking. Hitman. A video game adaptation turning out to disappoint is nothing new. But Hitman was something different. The director had some unique ideas for the story of a genetically engineered assassin, but the studio thought audiences should actually see his origin story instead of getting only hints. But with the studio looking simply to get the movie finished, Fox decided that instead of filming the scenes, they would just use footage from one of their previous shows, Dark Angel. Jessica Alba isn't in the footage of children being trained for a life of murder, but the rest of the scenes are taken straight from the show's pilot episode. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. It's crazy to think that a story as weird as Bill and Ted actually worked, let alone became a cult classic. As goofy as the story might have been, the people making the movie clearly had to know their history. They also had to know their film history just as well. When the stars first take a trip through time, they land in Austria in 1805. Getting a front row seat to Napoleon's military campaign. If the footage looks a little too ambitious for the rest of the movie, it should. The shots are taken from War and Peace, starring Henry Fonda and Audrey Hepburn. Stealing scenes from another movie is usually frowned upon, but in this case, the joke is more than worth it. So what do you think of our list? Did we miss any cases of scene stealing or film thievery? Let us know in our comment section, and don't forget to click the subscribe button to watch more Screen Rant videos like this one.